All right. Hello and welcome everyone for joining us for the Boise City Writer-in-Residence information session. Give folks a second to get into the Zoom room. We are so excited to have this program continue into its third year. We're really excited to share both some things that are remaining the same and some small updates to help you be the most successful in your application this year. We will do a question and answer here at the end of the presentation. Would recommend that you use the Q&A box rather than the chat to ask your questions. Please put them in at any given point during this presentation and we will get to them at the end. This presentation is being recorded and will be made available on YouTube before the end of the week, so you can refer back to the content that we will discuss today. We're going to start with some introductions really quickly. And since I'm talking, I'll go first. My name is Mackenzie Dunstan, and I'm the Grants and Outreach Manager for the Boise City Department of Arts and History, and have been a partner in this program for all 3 years.
Well, I guess we'll go in reverse order. So I'm Joel Wayne, the Public Programs Manager at the Cabin, and same. I have worked with Mackenzie and Jen on this program for all 3 years.
Yep. I'm Jennifer Villalobos. I am the branch manager at the library at Hollister for Boise Public Library, and yeah, been here since the beginning. It's been a really fun program.
I'll go through the agenda here. We're going to provide first off an overview of the Boise City Writer-in-Residence, go through the application itself, including the criteria in which the rubric in which the panel is judging things by, talk about the selection panel, and then the timeline for the application process, as well as interviews and selection. We have some suggestions on there as well for people's applications, and then we left some time at the end for any questions that folks may have.
All right, so this is just a little overview of what our goals are for this program. So we're here to support local writers in their creative practice, provide free and accessible literary programs to the community. And of course, we want to raise awareness to the service and programs to the Cabin, Boise Public Library, and Boise City Department of Arts and History.
So some things in addition to note about this is that the Boise City Writer-in-Residence program is specifically an opportunity for emerging and mid-career writers that are living in Idaho's Treasure Valley. So you don't have to live in Boise City limits to be eligible for this program. But because there is a public programming component that is in person, it is best suited for someone who lives within the Treasure Valley who can get to our Boise Public Libraries with relative ease. And speaking of programming, one of the sort of main components of this opportunity is that the selected writers in residence develop and facilitate 6 literary-focused public programs. So these are events, workshops, educational experiences. They can be themed or not, open writing experiences, guided reading experiences. There's a lot of ways in which this can look, and every writer in residence so far has taken a unique approach to these public program elements. We offer annually 2 terms, so 1 resident per term, and each term is 6 months. So term 1 is October through March, and term 2 is April through September. So for this year, the first term would start October 2025 and in March 2026, and then April and through September 2026. As I mentioned, 1 resident per term, and then writers are compensated $5,000 to support independent creative work and time to develop and facilitate these public offerings.
The application is all through Submittable. which is you can make a free account on there. If any of you have used or have submitted before to different literary journals or anything, you might be familiar with this. There are also a lot of grantors who do use this too for smaller grants like this one. No application fee or anything. It's very easy to use.
So the application, I mean, this first part is pretty just, the basic overview. Obviously, we want your basic contact information because we do want to know how to get a hold of you because we think that's pretty important. And then just your availability, so we can get a good sense if you have other things going on during the year, if you are chosen, things like that. We just want to know what's going to work best for your schedule. We do ask for 2 professional references, and there are going to be 4 short answer questions and then a couple of work samples. So send us your best stuff. And then at the end, we're going to just have some optional demographic questions. And those are just to help us just to kind of see who we're reaching and to make sure that we're reaching out to as many people and that we can in the community.
Yeah, so we wanted to give you the opportunity to preview these application questions. So we're going to read through them all and talk about some additional information about what this exactly means and what we're hoping to see when you respond to these questions. And if you have any questions yourself about these, this is a good chance to put them in that Q&A box. So the first question is to please provide a brief summary about your creative and/or intellectual interests, writing practice, and current projects. So in about 500 words, give us an overview of sort of how you came into your writing practice, what you're currently working on, what your themes or topics your work or creative projects tend to focus on, and if there's anything you're working on right now that you want to uplift or highlight for the selection panel. Question 2, community engagement via public programming is a major component of this residency. Please describe your past or current experiences with developing and facilitating community engagement, educational programming, events, and workshops. So this question is really valuable to our review and selection panel because it gives us a sense of the sort of experiences you have had in the past in leading others through some sort of learning experience. This can be a lot of different things. Perhaps you have taught a class, maybe you worked as a summer camp counselor, maybe you currently lead writing workshops with another organization, maybe you have put together events for spoken word. All these things are worth mentioning here and elaborating on. And what we're really trying to understand is what have you done? How much have you done in the past? And sort of what are the ways in which you try to build or create community through these sort of experiences? The third question is, please provide a program proposal outlining the public programming you would lead as writer-in-residence. Be sure to consider the type of experience, topics, learning goals, intended audience, and ideal group size. And as a note here, all these public programming events happen at the Boise Public Library location. So there are 5 branches and then 1 at the Irma Heyman House. They go in every which order. There's no specific direction we have required from past residents, but just sort of thinking about location and sort of the communities that are nearby those specific library locations in the Irma Heyman House might inform your program proposal. So this is if you've applied in the past, this question is has been revised a little bit. And we are really wanting to get a strong sense that you have a plan coming in to your potential residency, that you know what you'd like to focus on, you have goals in mind, you have topics or a topic that you want to really dig into, and that you are mapping out when and what and how you need it. I think this is a great place to really let us see that you are organized, that you have a vision, that you know who you want to connect with through your residency term if selected. And we are very understanding that things may change. You might be someone who is selected here this September, but your residency term doesn't start until April. And we know that things might adjust, and we are very open to that. But it's very helpful for a selection panel to know that you're coming in with a pretty solid plan.
Can I jump in here really quick? I just
Please.
wanted just a quick little reminder too, just like when you're thinking about programming, remember that no matter the intended audience for program proposals, that every program that is at Boise Public Library is open to everyone in the public. So just kind of bear in mind, I mean, I'm not saying that to, say, oh, you've got to do this certain thing, but just kind of something just to always remember.
That's true. You never know who's going to walk in that room. So thinking
Exactly.
through that is something to consider for answering this question. Thanks, Jen. And then finally, we are curious about what inspired you to apply for this residency. What has brought you here to this moment? Why now? What are you hoping to experience or accomplish if selected as the writer in residence? So this is an opportunity to get to know you a little bit more, and why this opportunity would be really valuable in your creative practice in life.
So some of the feedback that we had gotten last year was wanting a little bit more transparency into how the panel selects individuals, residents for this program. And so we went through and we took a hard look at our rubric and made some changes there, and we decided to post it as well. And so we go across we judge across four different, or the panel judges, it's not just us, the panel judges across four different criteria. The first being your CV and relevant experience, which really mostly speaks to some of what we has already been talked about in terms of your public programming experience, but it also can include some of your publishing history too. Your creative summary, your program proposal for what you want to do if you were selected, and then the work samples themselves. Um, I would encourage looking through these as well. Residents who are selected aren't necessarily all, they're not all necessarily fours in every category. But I will say, generally speaking, they are threes and fours, somewhere in there for the across those criteria. Um, I know that Mackenzie will also be posting this recording afterwards, so people can look through and see how that get a closer look at least at the scoring rubric.
Okay, so the review panel and our timeline. So we are made up, there's three of us, and then so the two representatives of each of the cabin, Boise Public Library and Boise Department of Art and History. So that'll be me and another person from Boise Public Library, and then Joel, someone from the cabin, and then Mackenzie will have somebody who's representing another representative of arts and history. All have a background and experience with literary arts and or program development. So we are going to be reviewing late July, early August. Then we gather together and then we go through all of our candidates and we narrow it down to 3 to 4 finalists in late August. And then what we do is a final interview in late August. And that interview is done by Zoom. And we will just have a series of questions, just kind of, we'll dive deeper into the application and into the questions that are on the application, maybe have some questions, about some pieces that you submitted or anything like that. We really want to get a good sense of who the finalists are and why they would be a good fit for the program. And then we will announce our new residents around early part of September because that first residency starts on October 1st. We like to do it kind of as early as possible. So.
Absolutely. And I would just add that regardless of your status, everyone will be notified by mid-September. So not just our awardees, but all folks will get some indication of where they're at. And as always, if there's a desire for feedback or more information about decision making, we're happy to provide that. So with that in mind, some suggestions. Once again, looking at that application, as mentioned, a clear vision for your program proposal is really helpful. Getting into the details there and helping panelists understand what you plan to do, why, who's it for, with, like Jennifer said, thinking that anyone could walk into that room. So maybe even thinking about that is a way to really help strengthen your application. Thinking about those past community engagement examples, they can be so many things. So really, even if you feel like it's a stretch, right, here's an opportunity as a writer to really help us understand, oh, how did my summer camp counseling experience, how can that translate here? If you're an educator in another space, but maybe in a different content area, how can you still bring those skills into this space for literary arts? So there's a lot of ways to look at it. And if you have questions along the way, happy to answer those. But community engagement is so many things, so many forms. So really highlight what unique work you have done in the past. We would recommend choosing writing samples that you are really proud of and strongly reflect your voice and craft. While we haven't put a sort of number of years like limitation around this, I think we've all been inclined toward things that are written within the last 5 or so years, as just a sense of kind of where you are now as a writer. Although we would certainly accept writing samples that are older than that. And then please keep your writing samples to 10 pages max. And so if you're a poet, you can have multiple poems as part of that 10 pages max. If you have a chapter of something, that's great, an essay, but we're looking for no more than that, and would really appreciate if you would revise things if need be to fit within those 10-page limitation.
That's any genre we should mention too.
Correct.
That's, yeah, can be poetry, prose, fiction, nonfiction. Yeah.
All of it. Cool. All right. We want to hear your questions if you have any, but just as a reminder, the deadline to apply is Monday, July 28th, and the submittable application closes at 11 p.m. You can email any of us. Our contact information is here on screen, but also available in the application itself, and of course, across our organization's websites. Stop my share so we can see if any questions are coming in. Oh yes, nice, we've got a few. All right. So someone wants to know, if I work for the City of Boise now, but I won't be by the time the residency starts, should I still apply? What a great question. I would say that typically it would be a conflict of interest, right? If you are a city employee. I think it's also depending on which department you work in. If you worked in the Department of Arts and History or library, I think it'd be especially sticky. But you are saying that you will not be a city employee by the time a residency would start. So I would say you should consider applying. Jen, what do you think?
Yeah, and hi Julia. Nice to see you on the panel. I know Julia, so she is one of our interns.
Oh, nice.
So she's an intern. So she is technically. I would say because the residency would start, she would no longer be a city of Boise. So I would say yes, apply. Definitely.
It's a really good question.
Yeah.
Also a question here about, do professional references only mean someone you've worked a job with, or can it be another writer or professor? Can absolutely be another writer or professor, not just someone your normal place of employment. And then, do you have any examples of what past programs have been that have been received well by the organizations or the community? Joel, Jen, you want to take that one on first?
So I mean the bulk of the programs that most of the residents have done over the last, I guess it's 2 years now, have been writing workshops, themed writing workshops. And so what some of them have done, what some of the writers in residence have done, is done almost kind of a progressive style where if someone wants to attend or if people wanted to attend for every single one of them, they would get some different piece of it. It's there's kind of an overarching theme to their 6 sessions or their 5 sessions, maybe with a culminating event. A lot of them are doing a reading at the end. Um, but one of the things that we try to encourage as well is that even if they are progressive, they are programs where someone could come in and they didn't have to take, the one beforehand. They didn't have to attend, 2 or 3 beforehand to be able to jump into things. And the writers in residence have done a variety of those where some of them have been more one-off and some of them have been more progressive. But even the progressive ones, people have been able to attend without having to have that background, if that makes sense. Um,
I would also add something to along those lines, just as far as like content. While everything is of course usually focused around writing, we have had past writers in residence who really focus maybe on the more creativity aspect of it and how to tap into creativity, different ways of doing that. So it's like, well, there's writing involved. I think there's a lot of ways to tap into the community in that way. And really, I found those were really well received, along with just kind of more straightforward writer workshops.
mhm,
Totally. And I would add too that I think where we've seen um, a lot of success in our community is writing can be, really compelling. People want to engage in the writing process, but it can also feel really scary. So we've been really lucky that every single one of our writers in residence have very intentionally built environments and spaces that feel safe to write in, feel safe to try in, laying those expectations down, guiding conversations, and really seem to have, whether it was written and planned, or maybe that's just part of their personality and what they brought to it. But I think that has been really, really important to our community that they go into these spaces and they sure are coming away with something, a tangible skill or a new way to think about something, but that they felt comfortable and included and a sense of belonging while they were doing that. So another thing to think about, it's not just the content of the program, but sort of everything around it as well. Let's see. Are there any other questions coming up for folks? Maybe to give folks a second. Joel or Jen, any sort of final notes or considerations we can offer to applicants?
um, I mean, so even though I mentioned, that the bulk of the programs really have been, in some ways a straightforward writing workshop. Um, we have had a variety as well, that approach that from a really, really different perspective. Heidi Cray, one of our first year writers in residence, she did some workshops that were around movement.
Mhm.
And so actually had attendees stand and move, and she did some meditative aspects to it, some breath work ones, but all still had components in there where both texts, things for people to read, attendees to read, but then space for them to write around that too. She even did some, now that I'm thinking back, she did some drawing ones as well. It was almost like a map, a timeline. That was really almost more around journaling, but you could do it, you could do that, journaling, or it could be fictional if you wanted to. And so even though I think again the bulk of the programming have been writing workshops, I think there's a lot of different ways to approach that. For us, and I think for the panel in general, I think the important part has been imbuing a sense of confidence into that work, and for the panel to feel confident that the applicant can pull that off, like that this clearly feels like something that's within their wheelhouse, both from their programming proposal, but then also from their background in terms of their history of public programming.
And I will just kind of piggyback on that. It's like, think about what it is about what you have to offer to the community that is unique, and how that is really going to add, you know, to everything, to the programming, to your writing, everything. Just really focus on you know, what makes you stand out, and why would the community want to come in and, you know, come to one of your workshops, and why, you know, yeah, that's kind of
Absolutely.
all I have to say.
Yeah, I see there's one more question here, but I just wanted to add it, that our current writer in residence, Alan Heathcock, has a workshop this Saturday at, I think it's at your branch, Jen, at Collister.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think if you're interested in sort of seeing what this, at least through Alan's lens, looks like, I would highly recommend attending. I think he has a workshop in July, August, and then he has a final event in September. So there's an opportunity to sort of see one version of how this is being done, and maybe even chat with him if you feel so inclined about his experience. Okay, so there's one more question. Is there a certain medium of workshops that you've noticed the public is most interested in, such as prose, poetry, etc.? I can't say that I've noticed the community is inclined toward one thing or the other, but like Joel said, I think they do expect to write at some point during the workshop. So as long as there's writing involved at some point, they seem to like that.
That's another thing too I wanted to add is, in the programming proposal, I think when people really come to these, they want to participate. Like, I think you mentioned that, Mackenzie, that was like they really want to engage. And so think about what you can, again, bring to the community that is unique, engaging, and will get people involved and excited about participating.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because I think we've had at this point our different writers in residence, their own work. You know, some of them, it's some have been nonfiction, some have been fiction, and we have had poets there as well. But even for poetry, I think the writers in residence who we have selected, they've been able to be fairly open about that too. So even if the text that they're working off of is poetry, and even if the assignment or if they have a writing exercise that kind of revolves around poetry, there's still an openness to still work on the things that you want, or an attendee wants to work on then too. And so it's not terribly prescriptive. It's more of just a constructive workshop that tends to use, you know, maybe poetry or prose.
Awesome. Well, these are all great questions. And if anything else comes up as you continue working on your application, please email or call any one of us. We're happy to provide some guidance, answer any questions you might have, and are really excited every year. It is such a delight to see how much talent exists in our community, how much motivation is present in our writing community. It truly is so special. Boise is a writer's town, in my opinion, and so it's really exciting to be able to have this program and to have all of you engage in it, either as an
It
applicant, participant, or maybe resident.
it also makes the selection very hard.
It's so hard every year.
Yeah.
It's really, really challenging.
Which is it's a
Yeah.
good challenge to have.
Oh, I
Absolutely.
wanted to point out one thing too. I don't think we even mentioned it. Sorry, before we're hopping off. I know we're running late, but like,
Mhm.
Julie had that question about being an employee, and I remember, and I know because there are some teacher writers at the cabin who also apply, and while, you know, Joel may know them, kind of thing. They are not actually employed by the cabin, they're more contract. So it is absolutely encouraged to apply if you are a teacher writer at the cabin. So yeah.
Yes, thanks for clarifying that. I forget that's a question we get every year.
Yeah.
Worth noting.
Mhm.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone for your time and attention today. This recording will be available here before the end of the week, and best of luck in your applications.
Thanks, everyone.